What's up, everybody? I'm back with another Top 5 Thursday, and this one is for Derek Ronk. I don't even know if I forget your real name. You told me it, but I see so many names and so many people talk to me on there that it's so hard to keep up with, including like when I do these, like it's pronounced like this. I try so hard, and I think you might have told me this is your real name. I know it's Derek, but is it Derek Ronk? It was Derek Rocket. Well, either way, dude, now Derek Ronk, that is what you have changed your name to, at least via Facebook. And he told me to do top 5 A24 films for this top 5 Thursday. And out of all of them, I was feeling this one a little more because he had said it before, and I happen to love quite a few A24 films. So this was not an easy list to break down. There's also a few, of course, I haven't seen. One that comes to mind, Rodney saw The Green Knight, so that's why that's up on our Box Office Banner YouTube page, but I still have not seen The Green Knight, which is one that could potentially be on this list if I had saw it, but it's going to be tough sledding because I love this top 5. All right, let's get to it. Coming in at number 5 is going to be The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. And if you know me, you can't kill a seabird, it's bad luck. All that good shit. If you know me, I absolutely love Robert Pattinson. In fact, like when I first started on this like YouTube journey and because I write articles as well, journey, the first fucking thing I did was an article on Robert Pattinson for Project Louder, oddly enough. And like that, I'm not like a professional writer, but it got a decent amount of buzz, and I was like, you know what? I gave to you and you gave back to me, Robert Pattinson. Made me love him even more. But I mean, Robert Pattinson, the man, okay? That article is more about Batman. But this is just another movie that's came out in that span that shows you he's not just Twilight Boy. And in this movie, he acts phenomenal. But let's not just put like all the fucking, shed all the light on him. Let's talk about the other guy. And the only reason I don't shine as much light on him, he's just as good, is because everybody knows Willem Dafoe is the shit. And there's nothing less of that here. Watching these two dudes, it's just like Rodney said this before. It's almost like watching theater. Like Robert Eggers really has a unique way about him to where he just pulls these performances out of his guys. And there's another person on this list, another director I think does it very well too, but it's almost in two different ways. There is almost like a theater, Broadway-esque, like actual, like full-on, like just portrayal of acting in Robert Eggers movies that you can't quantify between this and The Witch. And Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe were up to the fucking, game. And then you see the movie too, like the unique decision to make it black and white, and I don't know the technical term. Like, I won't even pretend to know it. I've heard it, but it never registered. This isn't something I'm forgetting. Where they bring the screen in. Like, if you put this movie in, it's not, full screen. It's brought back. Like, I don't know if you've ever had like an old DVD and you're on like a brand new TV. Sometimes it'll shrink the screen on you. This was literally deliberately done like that, which is like, some people could be like, oh, it's too art housey, it's whatever. But the thing is, I couldn't imagine watching this movie any other way. Like, the first time I watched it, like the first 20 minutes, I even was having that thought, like, oh, is it too much? But after, multiple rewatches, I'm just like, I can't imagine watching this movie any other way. It helps put its own stamp on it. It's a little thing, but like as I always say, a bunch of little things like black and white, the way they filmed it, the acting performances, like the Broadway-esque type of performances that feel like just pure acting at its core, really help raise this movie above, dude. I mean, like I said, it's a descent into madness, and what two people could have done a better job? It's a little out there. There's one scene in particular that kind of is what makes it fall down to like the 5th spot, that, it's more of a me thing, more of a personal thing. But at the end of the day, like, this movie is more than deserving to be on my top 5. I absolutely love this movie. I actually prefer it to The Witch. So, Witch is next. No, I'm just playing. All right, that's number 5. The Lighthouse. At number 4, we're going to kick it over to a Scarlett Johansson movie that not enough people have seen, where she's just downright creepy in. Under the Skin, just classic A24 formula, where they're really slow builds. They're not overly theatric in terms of, like, craziness. It's more about what you don't see. It's more about the slow burn. And you know what? Some of these movies, I'll be right there with you. I'm like, the payoff wasn't enough, or they just could have done something more and turned those like average moments into something more than just boring moments. There's a way to do it with dialogue or the way the scene's filmed, something to catch your eye. But this definitely, while there isn't a lot going on, there's something pulling you in because you were so enamored by Scarlett Johansson's character. You're wondering, like, what the fuck is gonna happen next? Because it is just an out there movie that stands on its own, where you're stuck on this. Like, you can't go anywhere else and find this type of movie. You know what I mean? That's what makes it special. That's what makes it unique. That's what makes the slow moments pay off, is that creepy, eerie vibe and atmosphere of the film times, oh, this is like wholly original. And there's some downright disturbing scenes in this movie. They're few and far between, but there's one scene in particular where I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen Under the Skin. They're in like this like tank. I'll just say they're in a tank. They're in water, and something happens in that tank. We'll just go with that. Also, spoiler alert on this, I'll say this. You get to see Scarlett Johansson's boobies, and she's naked completely. For all you, like people that fiend off her, which I'm one of them, that's a plus, right? Because I actually don't think I've ever seen her be nude in any other movie, even though she's like creepy and mute in this movie, and she is maybe something more than meets the eye, and not in that way. Like, there's something else. Like, what is wrong with this woman? Let's figure that out. Let's dive in with not a lot of dialogue, just flat out, just creepy acting. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson gets a big pat on the back for this movie. One of my favorites of hers, if not my favorite. I love Under the Skin. At number 3, we're going to go with, oh, man. What's tough about this is I don't even know if this is my favorite movie from this guy, but the other one is an A24, and we've reviewed the other one, which is Annihilation. This one, Ex Machina, Alex Garland, is just a fucking genius. I need some more Alex fucking Garland in my life. Ex Machina is, again, I mean, I could say this about all these movies. It's the fucking, build. It's the slowness, but there's something that keeps you really interested, and it's the character of Oscar Isaac. Like, what is this guy doing up here? What this guy is coming to see this AI thing that he created, and this AI thing is just like, for the people that are interested in that, like, you look at, it's like what's happening today, what we're afraid of. What can this AI thing be? Can it be this beautiful, majestic thing that can help us? Or can it be like the end of all fucking time? You know what I mean? And I won't reveal that what happens in the movie, but it's just that wonder and wondering where this movie's going to go, wondering if Oscar Isaac's character has ulterior motives, or if, what's going on here, if anything at all is going on, is just natural. And there's a lot of bait and switch going back and forth with that, and wondering, like, shit, what's happening? Who's the bad guy? What's this? What's that? Is there a bad guy? The movie just keeps you guessing and guessing and guessing until the very end. And you feel for the lead, too, because Oscar Isaacs and the robot, or I forget the main guy's name, but the guy that's coming here to Oscar Isaacs' place, and he's having to, like, figure out all this, too. And he's over here catching feelings for this robot that's being held in captivity. So you can feel for him, because the robot is almost like so realistic the way it talks to him. You can almost see, especially if you're basically on like a deserted place other than Oscar Isaacs, and maybe you're a little nerdy, like, you could be endeared and fooled into something, or you can be endeared and brought into something. You're like, yeah, man, this is the future. I can be with a fucking robot. You could see and buy that character falling for or actually doing what he needed to do with said robot to enhance his life, get her the fuck out of there. So it's a very interesting movie. It's really fucking dope. And check out if, more sinister things happen if you've not seen Ex Machina. Then at number 2, an Ari Aster flick by the name of Hereditary. This movie is, of the paranormal genre and subgenre, and I'm not a big paranormal guy. Like, once every 5 years, I think I find one I love, and there's like a couple sprinkled in. I was like, yeah, it was all right. Hence, like The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. I was like, that was all right. I don't get into those movies to the level a lot of people do, which I'm actually seeing Malignant tomorrow, so I'm hoping James Wan blows me off my feet. It's like the setup of those movies and the scares of those movies really work for me, but by the time I'm done watching them, I feel kind of empty. I'm like, I feel like I've seen this before in some way, shape, or form, which is kind of hard for me to complain about because I'll watch a slasher movie and it'll feel the same way, but it's just more my thing, so it works. It's like, yeah, overload me with the same shit. Whereas these movies, for my taste, have to be a little more unique. And I think what stands out about Hereditary isn't just the supernatural shit that was actually like some of the scariest shit I've seen in like a supernatural slash paranormal movie. It's the relationships, it's the friendships, it's the way Ari Aster approaches this movie, the way it's shot, the uniqueness of like the smaller little houses that Tony Collette's character's working on, and there's times where you're like being brought into the house and you're like, is this the fucking house that she's working on? You know, that she's crafting, or is this actually the house that the people inside the movie live in? There's just weird choices that work wonders that Ari Aster uses in this film, you know, that they use for the camera shots in this. The cinematography is just absolutely beautiful. I say that about a lot of movies. There's a lot of movies that have beautiful cinematography, but this movie features, I'd say, some of my favorite. And Ari Aster movies, nothing short of that. You know you're going to get that now that you've seen a few of his films. And just Tony Collette's performance. Again, it wasn't just the family, it's the performances, and Alex Wolff and Gabriel Byrne, and then the girl that plays the little girl in the movie. Like, they all just do so good. The little girl is so few on words, but something as simple as that is so effective, and she looks so creepy and like menacing. Like, there's something sinister behind that face that you can't really figure out what it is, but you know there's something fucking going on there. And Alex Wolff just plays a character like I've heard people say, like, oh, come on, man, he gets a little too, he lays it on a little thick. You would not be that afraid. I'm like, oh, look at tough guy over here, right? Like, yeah, you fucking would, bro. Do you not know what high school is? Because that's what he's in high school in the fucking movie. This dude is a stone's throw away from being a kid. When you hit high school, you're not, if you're in a paranormal situation where you're worried for your life. Now, maybe not every kid, but a kid like Alex Wolff, like who he portrays in that movie, just like a offbeat kind of stoner kid, I'm expecting him to have Alex Wolff's reactions in this movie. Because I'm telling you, like, high school is like when you're first figuring out. You think you're on top of the world, you're pretending to be an adult, but you're really not. There's still a whole lot of kid in there, if you're being honest, but you're putting this shield over it. That's why people get so upset in high school. That's why so many people tragically take their lives in high school. That's why so many people tragically go on like shooting sprees even in high school. It's tragic, of course. I'm not like, obviously, I'm not saying anything like, oh yeah, like let's prop this up. I'm just using those things as examples because people are fragile. We have like this shield over us, but the exterior is still very much a kid in there that's very fucking troubled. So you're telling me if dude goes from, he was just in elementary school, if you think about it, like 4 years ago, and now he's like a complete adult? No, there's a whole shitload of kid in there, and you're watching this high schooler have this shit happen to him, completely believable. I think people that say he's too whiny have lost their minds. Amazing performance from him, and Collette should have brought home a fucking Oscar. Let me just fucking say that right now. There's a scene where she's grieving that is just so realistic and so fucking messed up that you feel for her tenfold, and Gabriel Byrne probably gives like, you know, maybe the least best performance, but yet he is such a steady figure and you feel horrible for him because he's just trying his best to make this work. This movie is a movie that brings out the greatness in characters and how characters can almost feel like your family in a way. You almost feel like you're incorporated, like you're at the dinner table with them when they're arguing, and all that shit fucking combined, and then the ending happens where there's just tragedy. I won't say to who because people just be sleeping on A24 films, but there is tragic shit that happens. You feel for it all the more. Fucking Hereditary is phenomenal. My God, Ari Aster. Bravo. And then we move on to number one, and yes, Ari Aster again, Midsommar. Midsommar is a movie that absolutely swept me off my feet. But at the same time, when I saw it in theaters, first days, I had to, because I was such a big fan of Hereditary, and this movie looked fucking sick too. I was sitting there wondering to myself, I'm like, did it sweep me off my feet in a way I got swept down? And I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I don't know how I feel about this movie. or did it sweep me off my feet where I was like, wow, that's a fucking movie. I had that reaction when I left the theater. I was like, I had so many emotions rolling. But by the next day, I was like, I fucking love that movie. That movie is fucking phenomenal. It jumped to like my top of the year. I was like, that, good Lord. That's how you follow it up. And then I was kind of hurt to see that, like, not hurt, it isn't my movie, but, it was kind of like disheartening to be like, God, like, so many people hated that because it really is. Like, Midsommar, like, Hereditary gets a little bit of that, but for the most part, people love it. But it really does seem with Midsommar that it's legitimately like 50-50. Like, oh my, woo, Midsommar. God damn, like that, woo, my Lord. And then, like, the other half are like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen. And I got to tell you, I think we're all different. Obviously, that's why we have different opinions. But I think everybody got that same fucking Karate Kid sweep the leg feeling that, I got too, where I was like, did I not like that at all? Or is that my new favorite movie of all time? Okay, I'm not going to reveal that if it is or isn't. But you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's why it's so split, because that happened to, like, everybody watches the movie. It's so powerful. But is it powerful for in a good way or a bad way? And some people decided on that. Some people, like me, chose the latter. And that is just Midsommar encapsulated. I honestly prefer when movies, not in a way like I want it to succeed. Obviously, I said it was disheartening, but I also love it when I have a movie where I have people around me that are like, go to bat for it. But then there's also the interest of picking the other people's brains. Like, what didn't work for you? It makes the movie have more of a mystique. It turns it more into like a cult film. You know what I mean? When it's not unanimous. And the movie in general, dude, like, this movie made me fall in love with Florence Pugh, dude. Like, I thought I left like high school crushes like in high school, but like something about the character of Danny just made me fall for her in ways I can't explain over like a character in a movie. Like, I love that character, and ever since in like every movie she's in, I'm over here like going to fucking bat for her. Like, I want to see her in more shit. I loved her character. All the dynamics with Christian, her boyfriend in the movie, it wasn't laid on too thick. It was just like subtle enough, but just a few scenes where it was a little more over the subtle territory to just really give you an idea of like what Florence Pugh's character of Danny went through in the movie. The side characters are not phenomenal, but like for this type of horror movie, like, they're really fucking good. Again, the cinematography, so fucking on point. The journey to like who becomes the May Queen and everything that slowly gets peeled back inside of this cult is just fucking so fun to watch. I fucking was losing it. I was just like, oh man, this. And every time I watch it, I pick out this, and this. So much so, I even get like an all-region player so I get the director's cut, which I don't think is superior to the film, because basically what it is just like 30 more minutes, mainly of like Danny and her boyfriend, stuff that isn't so subtle. It's laid on a little too thick. It works as like a separate viewing for people that are wondering, that are big fans of Midsommar. But at the end of the day, I prefer that more subtle approach with her boyfriend, where it's like a little bit here and there, but mainly it's subtle. It just works a little better, makes the film flow a little better, because the movie's already like 2.5 hours. You can turn the movie into 3 hours, but, for people that nerd out on it, definitely get it. But in general, man, that movie is just, I love it, dude. Absolutely love it. And by the end of the movie, I mean, it doesn't matter what people go through. It doesn't matter what happens. I'll just say this. You're just happy for Danny, because everything she went through in that movie, all the bullshit, you were just happy that she's finally happy, and you don't care at what cost anymore. And that is the fucking beauty of Midsommar. It's such a fucking good movie. And such a good fucking top 5 suggestion, Mr. Rocket. I'll just call you Derek, because I know you're Derek. And obviously, I know you pretty well. You're a moderator now. Congratulations, sir. And it's just another way to reward you. Thank you for being the shit. I know you were big into A24 as well. All right, y'all. Love y'all. See ya.